want to introduce to you Sam Baker, the author of The Permissible Lie. He's got his copy on his lap, and I have mine on mine. And the reason I'm not parting with mine, I've got all the leaves turned down, which you're not supposed to do, Sam, and all underlined. And as my viewers out there know, I have several books that I absolutely swear by. You are so honest and so unusual that I wanted my people to meet you. But before we do that, I want to talk about an unusual manufacturer, and then we got the whole time just for the two of us. As you know, I take slams at lots of manufacturers and products because they are dishonest to us. I do give a gold star and a kiss to the good ones, and as you know, I've mentioned Whirlpool, and this week, I'm sorry so many of you missed seeing their Caravan, which they had at the Felt Forum, in which they did a musical showing you how to shop for appliances. And they played down the name, and all the big appliance people know now that your complaints mean something. They make a good product, but the service people gyp you. So they're trying to cement the relationship. So, a gold star to Whirlpool. And now back to Sam, who doesn't have too many gold stars to give. Sam, tell first about how many years you were in advertising and what made you do this.
Well, I was on Madison Avenue for 30 years. And of course, I was up to here, as well as up to my hips in lies and seeing all the phoniness that goes on. I left 5 years ago for full-time writing because I'd written about 12 books, and now I've written 18. And finally, I wanted to tell, as nobody in advertising could tell, what goes on with this a double purpose. One, I am not against advertising. I'm against bad advertising, and I'm for the good that good advertising can do. So I wanted to hold up a mirror to advertising men so they could see themselves, as they often don't, see the lies, and change from the lies to serving the public first and putting profit second. My main point, though, was to show all these lies to the consumer, as well as the good of advertising, and tell them what to do so they wouldn't believe the phony commercials, so they could recognize the phony commercials, and furthermore, what they could do about it to make it better in the future.
Well, you know, Sam, what troubles me is I know a lot of the advertisers. I've done over 600 commercials in my life, and I know them, and they're swell guys when you meet them.
Right.
You know, I hate to say it's like meeting the mafia guys, and they say, but he's a great home guy. He's got a beautiful home in the country. He treats his wife and children and his mother and father. And I've seen these men sell millions of dollars worth of products, cosmetics that are supposed to make a woman beautiful. They know it's a lie. Foods that they know are a lie. How did they compensate when they went home? What makes our society have a man live like that?
Well, they're caught up in the rat race, and they feel that the only way, most of them, you get into this whirlwind where you feel the only way is to tell a lie, and then they figure that profit is the most important thing in advertising, whereas I'm trying to show them that I'm not against profit, but that the first thing to do is to serve the public best and then get your profit. But they don't do this, and so in some of the commercials you see, for example, of a woman mopping up her dirty kitchen floor, and one swipe and it's clean. Well, even Johnny Carson on his show, after seeing one of these commercials, burst out to the audience on television and said, I just can't stand it. Lies should stop somewhere. He said, I saw that commercial being made, and what they did was take the kitchen floor and throw powdered graphite on it. Now, what woman has powdered graphite on her floor? And then they say one swipe and it's clean, and of course the camera shows that.
Sure.
But an ordinary floor, it doesn't happen. There's a gag that one woman who saw the commercial wrote to the manufacturer and said, I bought the product and it didn't work. Send me the mop.
Well, you know, one of the commercials I did, and the sponsor will remain nameless, I was the one that had to use the mop and clean up the floor, and the air conditioning had broken down in the studio, and I smelled something funny, and I saw them bring out of a jar. It was with an electric commercial spray, which means that it was spraying doubly fine, and I had to lean this far over, and as I was cleaning the floor, I became ill. And I turned to the floor man and I said, hey fellas, I don't feel good. And they said, oh, come on, Fran, get with it. And I was making these marks. I got sicker and sicker, and that night I collapsed, and they took me to St. Vincent's Hospital. I was jaundiced, and I knew there was carbon tetrachloride in it. So that meant I had no air. P.S. I lost my case in court because the doctors said that only by my autopsy could they prove in my liver that I was badly injured. Now the government has taken carbon tetrachloride off the market, and so this makes me, you see, Sam, we're older people, and we're angry people.
Speak for myself.
Oh, go on. I think we're about the same age. Anyway, the young people out there think that we don't care. And here we are, two people in our middle years, and we do care. You, who had a lot more to buck than I have, and you young ones out there, you're buying these products that are gypping you. You think it's going to take all that stuff off your hair and make you gorgeous. How come you're not fighting them? They drank all the cyclamates in the sodas and didn't care, but we cared.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they don't know how to fight. I have loads of cases in the permissible lie where, to help you recognize that you cannot believe most testimonials, you cannot believe many of the pictures. Recently, as fine a firm as Campbell's Soup, with good products and not necessary to have lies, was called up by the Federal Trade Commission because in advertising their vegetable soup, you saw the picture and it was chock full of vegetables at the top. You open the can and that's not so. Well, what they had done, they found out, was take glass marbles, fill the plate with them, and then pour the soup on, so the vegetables were on top. So far as testimonials go, I tell of one in here where a man, an acquaintance of mine, was stopped going through Grand Central, and a very attractive woman with a hot cup of coffee in her hand, which you don't often find at Grand Central, had a microphone, and she said, would you mind tasting this? This is our new brand X instant coffee, and tell me how you like it. And this fellow stopped, took a taste, handed it back to her, and said, I hate all instant coffee. He said, every morning my wife gets up, she makes regular coffee, brews a fresh pot, and I drink it, and I love it. And she handed him a form and said, would you mind signing that? And we will give you a check. It was a big fat amount, he said, if we may use your comments in edited form. And he said, for the money, he said, I realized I'd knocked the product, but if they want to give me a check, okay. Well, riding in his car a few months later, he was listening to the radio, and here this woman's voice came on, and he heard her say, just as they had taped it, sir, would you mind trying our new X-brand instant coffee and tell me how you like it? And it shows him drinking it, putting down the cup, and then he says, I love it. So they had cut all the way through, and this is how much you can believe most testimonials.
Well, this is the kind of thing I scold my public, Sam. I keep calling them idiots, and I call myself an idiot. And they keep writing back, come on now, Fran, we're not that dumb. Of course we're all dumb for permitting this. You told me that you were just a guest in various in European countries. They're even starting to ape our ways.
Right. I was in England, Holland, France, Denmark, introducing the permissible lie. And I found lies there, which I told them about on television and so forth. For example, the English papers were full of a before and after vitamin picture. Slim little guy, and here's the same man, they don't say how much later, all muscled up and so forth, and they say that the vitamins did it. Well, the impression is that you go on, and they say 2-week supply at a sale. The impression is, and the whole lie is, that you take the vitamins and you go from this little weakling to full of health and stamina and sex, which was all part of it, in 2 weeks. Well, if it happens at all, and the vitamins aren't going to do it, it might happen in 10 years. By that time, you're starting to get decrepit. And my warning in Europe primarily was, don't let it happen here.
Right, and I know you told me you have 2 mottos to tell the people what to do, how to combat this, and I'll add my third.
Okay, but if you remember these 2 words and really do something about them. The first word is boycott, and the second word is postcard. Now, if you think a commercial is lying to you or making you ridiculous, which is just as bad, because this undermines the whole society. If kids see adults acting like fools as they do in so many commercials, then they say we have no respect for the adults and no respect for our society. So if you see a commercial that lies or that you think is ridiculous, makes a fool of you, don't buy the product anymore.
Right.
If it's a product, don't buy any product. There are lots of other good products around, and I'm not singling out, that's just a name. Secondly, if you will do this, as much as you think it doesn't work, from 30 years on Madison Avenue, I tell you it does work. Postcard. Just take a postcard and write down there, I saw such and such a commercial, or your product that didn't live up to the commercial, you lied to me,
Right.
and hereafter I will not buy that product or any product your company makes until you rectify this. Now, don't call the president a louse or anything like that, because that goes in the screwball basket. But the sound, sensible postcards, the brief ones or the brief letters, make a tremendous impression. And any man on Madison Avenue who is honest with you, and that's a big statement, will tell you that this is so. Because they know for every postcard or letter they get, there are perhaps 100,000 people who feel the same way as this writer and didn't do anything about it.
And my motto, Sam, is I always do this. Take it back, because I found that the women will say take home a box of strawberries. 2 are good and 14 are squishy. And they'll dump it in the pail. It was 49 to 69 cents, and they'll say, I'm not going to go back. Well, I call the manager, and I say, you just sold me strawberries, and I can't get back tonight, but you better make a list that I called you at such and such an hour, even if I show up a week later and the mold is growing all over it. P.S. When they see me coming into a market, you can bet your last dollar those strawberries are going to be fresh. You don't have to take anything rotten. You don't have to take anything that is a lie. You know, my women say, Fran, after you tell us to read a book, and we find that we've wasted our time with a love machine. Look, I'm not telling you not to make love or anything like that, but when I think of the hours you waste on junk, and this is your tummy, your brain, your pocketbook, what has happened to us? Are we that stupid a nation?
Well, it takes some effort. Let's face it.
It's
It
the
takes
effort.
effort to do what you're doing. It's much easier for me to write a best-selling book on some other subject than to take all the guff and new stab wounds from Madison Avenue, for
Get
example.
the knife out of your neck, huh, Sam?
And I've talked to a lot of students in colleges since Permissible Lie has been out, and their attitude, unfortunately, is, what's the use? Why should we do it? We might as well go right along with the crowd. And I tell them why, that we make things better and a better society and all that, and that doesn't work. And finally, I say to them, because it makes you feel so darn good inside.
You see,
and that they get.
See, that's a religious revival. I am 59, and people say, how do you keep up the hours, Fran? I get here 8 in the morning, I go home 10 o'clock at night, I read like I never read when I was a young woman. I have become revitalized. It is a religion, quote, in that I know I'm wanted, I know the message is good, and these young people, you know what I don't understand? They yell at us, they scold us, they march, but one day I had a group of young ones when we had a live audience, and I said, why don't you put a broom where your big mouth is? Help me sweep it up. Help me clean it up. Here's Sam Baker, who made a lot of money in advertising, can continue to make an enormous salary. He took this, I guess, the latter years of your life, he figured this is your contribution to society.
Yeah.
We're no Joan of Arc, and what would be the male counterpart of a Joan of Arc? St. George. Oh, the only time they use St. George is on that horse with the, no, that was this is what you mean by ridiculous advertising.
Certainly,
the hand that comes out of the washing machine. I know a young woman that's so dumb that she really thought a hand was going to come out of her washing machine. And kids today, my grandchildren watch television, and you bring them, a man told me this also the other day. He brought the kid a big airplane set, and it was zooming in, and we got it. The airplanes were this big, and the kid said, that's not what I saw on television. Lying right from birth, practically. Excuse me, we have to go away for a commercial, and I have so many more questions to ask Sam, so don't go away.
When is the best?
Right now, Sam, this is the time of the day that I give a rose, either to myself, 1 minute of myself, loving myself, but today we're all going to give ourselves a rose by buying Sam Baker's book, The Permissible Lie, and you're going to get smart, too. And I also have a gift, a rose to one of my listeners out there for her fix-it. We're getting so many fix-its, I have to have prizes almost every day now. Her gift is a box of books, courtesy of Bantam Books. And this set includes cookbooks and novels and international books, all kinds of books. Congratulations to Mrs. John Logan of Allentown, Pennsylvania. Have fun reading. And tomorrow I'll have with me another guest, Mr. Baffa from the Auto Body Association, and our movie will be Her Jungle Love, starring Dorothy Lamour and Ray Milland. Join me then, and bye now. And goodbye, Sam. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
I love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're hearing the whistling on your set, I would call a repairman. All is quiet here in our studio. Well, enough of that silliness. Let's get on to something very serious. Mrs. Fix-It, Fran Lee, the lady who says never throw away nothin', is with us, and Linda Lavin is going to conduct us tiptoeing through the attic. Linda?
Here we are at the attic with Fran Lee.
She's right.
Says never throw anything away. Because what does she know? And she is now going to show us what she does with the things that you should throw away.
She sounds like my daughter-in-laws. What do I know? How come my sons are better housekeepers than they are? Then nobody's going to talk to me. Watch,
Here's
watch.
a cute little hat.
Wait, that's not a hat. This is your grandma's pantaloons. Remember? And I used to wear them. You cut off the ruffle, girls, and this is what you'll get. You'll cut off the ruffle. Told me to hold on the left side that you should watch. Cut off the ruffle, Linda.
Yes.
Sew a hem, put in a piece of elastic, and cover the old shade that you would have thrown out anyway.
Isn't that nice?
Or you can wear it as a hat. It's
You can wear it as a
adorable.
hat.
You can too, Linda. Betsy Ross. Now, I'm not kidding, though, girls. I am very angry at all of you because you're not what we call balabustas. You're not good housekeepers. And you don't have to be smart. You can be awfully dumb, in fact. All you have to do, I teach this to 2-year-olds. You bring home first the lampshade from the store and it has cellophane on it. Don't leave it on. As the light hits it, it'll get tighter and tighter, and will get full of stains down here, and then you'll throw out a new shade because you thought you were doing something good. Take it off right away, cut it off. Now,
Throw it away.
throw it away.
You threw it away.
Excuse me.
She threw it away. And you could use it.
Here's a lampshade. I had to bring a small one here today. That will last for years if you'll take your husband's old shaving brush, take your husband's paintbrush, clean of course,
What if you
and dust, like this. Dust on the left. Oh, either they don't give me a production or a big one today. Here. Dusted, girls, carefully, don't use a whisk broom. Now, supposing you've kept it for 10 years because you're a slob, and you didn't take care of it properly, but before you wash it, because some of you are not going to be able to do it well, there is a thing on the market. It has sawdust or white stuff or something. You can sprinkle it like that and keep the shade white. This is for silk shade.
That's a sawdust bag?
That's, no, it's got chalk in it.
Chalk.
Yes, it sells at one of the department stores for $1. Now, my favorite, and I must tell you this, Linda, the other day, I live in a new co-op that had 14 lampshades, and of course I'm the head of the house committee, and I washed 14 lampshades from the lobby. My husband came home and he found me in the kitchen with shades all over. The elevator man was bringing them up. We saved the building several $100s. Now, here's all you do, girls.
Gee, folks.
It's true. Let me change places.
$14 million worth of lampshades you cleaned?
No, 14 lampshades I cleaned.
And how did you save the building $1,400?
I didn't. I saved them a couple of hundred. Did I say 1,400? You see, get me all mixed up. Listen, if it's a small shade, use the pail. I like cold water oil or a very gentle detergent. If it's a huge shade like I had to wash, use your bathtub. use your sink, and work fast. Now here's a bath towel or a regular. Be ready to catch the baby when I bring it out. This is how I watch my grandchildren in my sink.
Right.
Turn it upside down, girls.
You didn't throw it
Dunk
away.
it, dunk it, dunk it, dunk it, dunk it. I'm sorry, if they had a decent pail here, you would have seen the whole dramatics of it. Look what they give me, and I just found that somebody's luncheon here before I got on the air. True. Take a sponge, work fast, wash gently. If you get a hole, this hole came because I was careless.
Linda, have you seen my lunch around here?
Yes, you
But we
threw
threw
it
it away.
Wash carefully, fast. Take a glass, pour the water on it, get the suds off, drip it, tie a piece of cord,
And throw it in the
throw it in the
towel.
throw it away. Gently, no, gently. And the reason I'm telling you to be careful, it's very hard to match a shade to your old vase. Any of you walked around with that vase in the department stores that weighs 50 pounds.
Remember that?
You want to preserve the shade. So you hang it up in the shower, put it back right on the lamp, turn the light on. It will dry beautifully, and you will have a new shade. Now,
Does it smell funny?
no, you smell funny. Stop it. Don't hurt my feelings.
No, but
my
I mean
shade.
when you dry it on a bow.
Yeah,
No, and it doesn't
no.
make
It
it-
smells now. You know why?
No,
'Cause
it
the
doesn't.
the glue in here.
Oh.
See, this is hand sewn. If it should fall off, and don't be surprised, it lays down there. Don't worry about it. My favorite is to take this and put on new trim with Sobo glue, and you pinch around. You just pinch it, let it dry. That's for washing shades. Now we have some wonderful things coming up. If they'll ever build me a thing here that I could work on, I'll be very happy. Supposing the shade still has some life in it.
Oh,
And you want a glamour shade. Take a piece of old mink or fur, glue it, sew it. If you don't have a piece of fur, take an interesting scarf, drape it all around. If you don't have a scarf, take an ostrich feather and leave a white shade, and your daughters will love it. That's what I do.
It's charming.
Now, one of my favorites is to take an old sweater and... what are you laughing, Stuart? You know I'm going to kill him. I bet he never helps his wife at home.
No.
Husbands and children should help their parents. Yeah. Well, you take an old sweater
Yeah.
and you take off the old silk. And sometimes there's the ribbon piled all around it. How can I talk about that? Anyway, we'll get letters. Why don't you leave her alone? She's so intelligent. Let her show. Right, Linda?
Right, darling.
Here, Bubbly. See, you put on a sweater on the bias, and just because they don't give me enough time, I brought along a picture. On the left, right? All right, on the left. Even an idiot could do it. It's so easy. And the texture you get out of it, you go to Sloan's or one of the fancy stores, and they'll say, you know, the latest, $100. Your old shade where the holes are, put a bow, a sequin, so on. Now,
Excuse me, do you sew that sweater to the shade? Or
yes, you do. You sew it to that little thing, you know. Now, supposing you have a little sun, and you add a shade that looks very bedraggled, take a Sunday paper, just the cartoon, and on the bias, oh, by the way, if I'm going too fast, or I should leave you in the middle, write Mrs. Fix-It with a self-addressed envelope, care of this station, and I'll send you the instruction sheets, because I want everybody to be a Fix-It lady, or a Fix-It boy, or a Fix-It man, right?
Depending on what your sex is.
Right. If the shade is a parchment shade and it still has life in it, make with the paint. Generally aluminum paint in here is great, see? Give it a coat of paint, let it dry, another coat, and you can do it on the outside. Take nail polish, make a design. You can do most anything you want. Be a designer. Remember I told you last week with the hats? Here's another favorite.
Oh, wow! Isn't that nice?
Don't throw out a nylon stocking.
Definitely all the things that you've kept.
Right, got it here, paint on my diamond ring. Sammy is recovering. Sammy's just home from the hospital, my Sam. Sammy, they got paint on our engagement ring.
Well, don't you know how to fix that?
Yes.
I know.
Girls, is this not the right thing to teach young people? Let them know. Come on, let them know.
My mother always said that you shouldn't learn any of these things. You should marry a rich fellow.
That's what my mother told me, but Sammy, you weren't, were you? 39 years. Listen to this. You take your old nylon stockings, cut off the heel, cut off the top, wind it around. You'll get two out of it. Tack it right there. Do it in multi-shades. stunning shade. And then you take a nylon stocking, Linda, roll it around like that, and there's your trim. Now, supposing you don't want to do nylons. This is very popular in all the stores. Take ordinary twine that you wrap packages, or old wool, and give it to your husband while he's watching television. I don't like to waste my men at home. They're sitting there, their hands have got to be busy. And I've taught my kids since they're 2-year-old. Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have one son, package engineer with Revlon 36, one son, TV producer,
Yes.
Gene Weiss, Barry Weiss, and 2 grandchildren. And 2 daughter-in-laws that their mother should have taught them what I taught my son.
Here, I'm not doing
Oh,
anything. Let
hi
me
there,
do that.
Stu.
Let me
Why
be
don't you
of
keep
use.
your hands busy?
Stuart, for you, it's a stunning... Here, wine.
And while I'm doing this, Fran, I
Yeah.
want to thank you on behalf of all the Fix-It birds in
Yes.
our audience. And remember, if you want to get those recipes, folks,
Not
keep
recipes,
those cards and letters
Fix-Its.
coming. Thank you, Fran, and
Fran,
thank
you're
you,
wonderful and very
Linda. Let's hear it for Fran Lee, ladies and gentlemen. And now back to Sunny Park. We'll be back. Thank you, Mr. Lee. We'll be back with Kid Young after this on New York News.
Can all do together? Tell us about it.
Well, many, many years ago, when I was at home on days like this, you know, it was real cold and I couldn't get out and I had those kids around my neck, I had tensions I had to get rid of because I didn't know that psychologically I was doing the right thing. But if you're painting or moving or cutting, and then you sew it up together again, you're doing something right. So I used to take old things around the house, we didn't have very much money in those days, and see what I could do with them. Now, for instance, many of us have an old sweater that's become faded, or you didn't wash it properly, or it has holes in it, and I thought, why throw it away? And I cut it, just experimenting. And this always makes people gasp. They say, oh, well, that's going to rip. And you know, girls, I don't know why, but it doesn't rip.
Well, that's the first thing I wanted to know. Why wouldn't this ravel?
I don't know. Maybe because it has become a little matted over the years, you know, and there's the edge. And by the way, even the little 5- and 6-year-olds can make these items that I'm going to show you. You can turn back an edge with a needle and thread, or you can take your crochet hook and crochet with any color wool that you like. As you notice, I use many trimmings here, and you catch you don't even have to turn it back if you don't want to, and you just catch it, pull it through, and crochet an edge around, or if you're not a good crocheter, just embroider it around. That's right. And I love this little hat. When I think newborn babies' heads are very small, and somehow when you go to buy a hat, they never look right. So I designed my own, and here's your short sleeve, girls. Just as easy as that. And Grandma, you can make these, or you can send these charity gifts. You can, I don't like to use the word charity, but I mean in countries where they don't have enough, make up a batch of these and send them. And put a little pom-pom, add a ribbon, and Jane, did you notice how soft they are?
Oh, they're very soft.
They're soft, and they don't irritate, and the more you wash them, the nicer they get. And if they're not warm enough, use 2 layers, or line it with an old handkerchief, an old linen handkerchief. And that would make the little hat. And then we have the booties, and I notice I brought a pink sweater, and it won't show the chalk. So, girls, take an old booty or a cardboard, or... they'll see the outline on here, won't they? Oh, yes, that's a wonderful picture. You see? Oops. And
I'll get it. Never mind.
thank you, Jane. And then cut out and edge it, and there's a little booty for the baby. Pair of them, in fact. And then comes the mitten. Now, Mama gets into this act, too. Oh, and on the pants, girls, it was the whole sweater. Here's your knit 2, purl 2. And you just take the baby's old overalls or a little pair of pants and cut freehand, press it with a damp cloth when you're finished, and then add fringe or do anything you want. This being Valentine's Day, cut out some hearts and give them a patch.
This is very good for the crawler, too, because at the knee's got 4 thicknesses here.
Right, and you can use old pocketbooks and old gloves, as I do on palms of mittens often. And here's a favorite of mine for Mama, or those between 6 and 16. It would seem to me that I supplied nothing but mittens in snow time. My oldest is in the studio tonight. He's home from the Veterans Hospital. He's 25, and I've got an 18-year-old up there at Brandeis watching, and both boys used to trim these. These were done years and years ago by the boys using old felt hats. See, I don't like to do things alone. I like the whole family.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea.
You know, Mother could even use this for a pot holder if she lined it with something
Yes,
too.
I make pot holders out of a couple of thicknesses, but if you'd rather have a mitten shape, do the same thing. Use your hand on the, like this, come around and make your mitten. It's very simple. I do want to show the girls some things that they can, for instance, my stockings made out of the sleeve. Jane, could you stick your hand through there?
These are very fashionable now, too. Everybody's wearing them.
Right, and the girls may not visualize it. I want to show you girls what we do. Cut off the sleeve of a long sleeve sweater. And we'll stick our hand in here, Jane and I. That will be the part that your hand went through. We'll sew that up. Turn back the edge. Cover the holes with flowers. Get the kids to do any of the trimming, and you'll see how nice this fits. And because it doesn't have a heel size, it fits anybody in the family. And then, if you don't want to use the sleeves for stockings, take two and make a nice scarf for a cold day like this, or do this with it. And then...
I never thought old sweaters could be so useful.
And, or pocketbooks. Here's one, turned upside down and put your little edges through like that. And I love this one. Don Amici wore this for me, and he looked like a pirate. You take a sleeve. It's a wonderful hat and an old loop. And by the way, for dolls and for aprons and evening gowns. And here's a blanket. Many of the veterans in the hospitals have blankets like this. Made from squares, and you see, girls, I'm not a good worker.
This is an Afghan sweater.
Right, and it's made from lots of old pieces, and later on, when the weather gets warm, I can show you how to make bathing suits or evening gowns, and it means that you'll never throw anything out again.
Well, Fran, we'll have to ask you back again to show us how to do more of these things. But, Mother, this is an idea for you to start on with those old sweaters.
Right.
Thank you again, Mrs. Fix-It.
Thank you, Jane.
I have something I want to give the boys and girls, or tell the boys and girls about. I can't give it to you, but Mother can get it for you. This is